Shouts out Big Steve.
Shout out Mikey B. What's up, friends? Big Brain MMA, Early Tease for UFC Vegas 106, coming off a great pay-per-view. A lot more exciting than this card, but we're going to break it down anyway. We're going to try and make some money, right? I'm your host, Big Steve, smashing gambling for 7 years. Not smashing it so far this year, but it is what it is. Did I make money last week? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. The bad streak is over. It wasn't much of a streak. It was just 1 week of losing bets, but he added up, right? So the tale of last week was being low confidence and passing on so many good spots, right, until we got to the UFC. So LFA, not much. I passed on a Shayla Ladd. It was a $3.50 underdog, and he beat this Roman Kuzra guy who was undefeated, had a shiny IMMF record, the amateurs. I love fading MMF amateur records. There was a few of them this week, and I passed. I'm like, I can't do it. Ladd knocks him out, so I'm like, damn, all right. Other than that, I just poked like this Luis Francesco under, like horrible limits. Regret passing the Jacob Rosales under, right? That ended in under 3 minutes. Made like $75 here, but that pass on Ladd pissed me off. That's what it is. What it is. Then move on to my favorite regional promotion, KSW, and I said I'm going to focus on these KSWs because no matter how bad the card is, I get really good reads and leans. Right, I'm really good at clicking with things, even though it's low MMA. So Oscar Stratura versus Sally Couchin. So this is a 20-year-old and an 18-year-old making their debuts in France. Soil is a training partner of Saladin Panais, and I'm like, man, this kid's good. And I go on his Instagram, and he's a world champion Taekwondo, multiple-time world champion Muay Thai guy. I'm like, man, this kid is awesome, and he's taking people down. So I'm like, why is Oscar a Stratura favorite? And 23-3 IMMF record. Go figure. And he's submitting people, and he's a brown belt. But there's a fight that's not even on Tapology to a Serbian guy last year, and he lost. And that kid is 3-2. He couldn't submit him in round one and basically just fell apart. So when it comes to MMA, his game is not that great. So, Sauli is like $2.45, and I'm like, man, I want to play it, but everyone is playing this Oscar guy. I get it. He's bigger. He could be one takedown and sub. There's no footage of Sauli grappling. It could be a white belt. I mean, most likely he's a white belt. His first fight was last year. But the aura, and I passed. I even taped it right before I went to bed the night before, and I passed, and he won a clear 30-27 as a $2.45 underdog. So I'm just very annoyed now. I'm like, this is what happens when, you smash your bankroll and when you can't afford to lose. You're nervous and stuff. So I'm like, whatever. And then the other one, it was a really tough card for betting. I had some good reads. But, the only other one was late as Ahuni. He's a round one merchant. And they gave him Damian Yanikovsky, whose chinny gets hurt all the time. And, I wish I played late. When he went up to pick him. I played him before. I played him as a huge underdog in his KSW debut, won in 30 seconds. So I wish I played him. I was just kind of scared of, what if he gets out of round one? Damian's been hurt before, and he's finished people like gas. Late has really bad decision equity. But yeah, it was very easy. It was very easy. Props to my mate Dogfather. He let it ride, and he won in under 2 minutes. And I should have known, whenever I have a read that someone's going to finish in KSW, they finish, right? It's a very volatile promotion where a lot of finishes happen. So, 2 bets, again, that I didn't capitalize on. So that's like LFA, a bunch of PFL. I didn't really do PFL. But we get onto the UFC, and I had 2 bets on UFC, right, that I gave out. I had 3 units on Natalia Silva, and I had a full unit on Charles Radke at almost $3. So it didn't feel too amazing about Radke in particular, but I was like, all right, let's get into this. I need a big UFC to take my mind off all these missed profit. So basically those 2 bets, but I had a lot more. So Baksat, I really like Baksat. He goes almost up to pick up, and again, I don't pull the trigger. I was like, let me just live bet it. Kills him in 1 minute, and now I'm probably the most tilted I've ever been. Like I've lost no money, but that's what, let's say at least 3 units missed. And I'm down $3K to start the month. And I'm like, those 3 units would have been perfect. It's what I need. I just need to win a bet to get my confidence up. So then we go to Daniel Santos, Zhang Yong Lee. I got nothing. I'm passing. A few people like the under. I felt like that was a trap. 2 very durable guys. And, the fight starts. Daniel Santos gets dropped. Halfway through round 1, he's a $4 underdog. And then he drops Lee, and he's taking Lee down. I'm like, man, he's going to take over. I go to live bet on another account. I don't have live betting on my previous account because I lost all my money betting Sakuraba on multiple accounts. And I go to put $200 at $4 to win $800, right? Would have been the biggest haul on a live bet in a while, right? Because it's the underdog. And they go, sorry, you can only do $16. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. No, I can't even live bet anymore. I'm limited on my only option. So whatever, I win, I bet that 16. I won $50, and then I used another bookie to bet in between rounds, barely plus money. I won $200 and $300, a bit over half a unit. So others would have been broken, miss out on all these locks, miss out on backside, can't even live bet, miss out on a big live bet win, but I won something, so the confidence is there. Let's go, I've got a whole day. We'll bring it up. Marc-Andre Barriol, this was a volatile fight. I should have just played the under. I played Bruno. His under 1.5 in Bruno was the same price. I thought it gives him a little bit of decision equity, and Marc-Andre, not the best finisher, knocks him out round one. It's just hilarious how I keep picking the wrong thing. When it comes to totals and money lines, I keep picking it wrong for like months now. But it's all right, only $75. Nothing on Navajo Sterling, bum fight. I put $150 in Ion Kuralaba. I felt like he had all the finishing upside, and he fought smart. I honestly thought he could maybe wrestle. When I saw that, I thought he could wrestle in rounds 2 and 3. But I didn't really understand the commentators glazing Kuralaba. I had money on Kuralaba, and honestly, I thought Bukaskis won round 1 clean, landing the only good punches. Kuralaba just kept kicking his legs and punching his chest and missing on wheel kicks. So I don't know why people are complaining. Honestly, I thought the judging was really good on this card. I agree with most things up until the main event. So, yeah, and then with like 30 seconds to go, I live bet Modestas Bukaskis on Bet Online, which I never get to put in a live bet, and I won $300 there. Right, so I basically hedged my 150 on Ion, and I won 150 myself. So we're up like $400 now. Jasmine Andrade, nothing there. It was easy money. Wish I took it. Charles Radke, obviously this was coming up. I wish I reduced a little bit. Obviously the risk was that he wouldn't be able to close the distance on Mike Malott, who's a lot, he switches stances. He's a lot more technical. We saw what he did against Giles. He didn't really have to get out of first gear. Whereas Charles, Radke, mostly just a boxer. He was really trying to force that check hook. Couldn't close the distance. He was at kicking range. That was the risk. I felt like both guys could die. So I hedged it a little bit with, I put half a unit on, doesn't start round 3, almost pick him, 250 to win 200. That reduced a little bit of my 500 1 unit damage, but ultimately, still lost half a unit. I should have reduced the money line as well, but it is what it is. So now we're like almost break even. I'm still in a good mood. Those first couple of bets I won, they put me in a good mood. That's all I needed. And, Benoit Saint-Denis, I bet same game parlay. Benoit, 1 takedown in round 1 and to win by submission. That gave me $3 something. So turning a $1.10 favorite into $3. He almost got it in round 1, and then he almost got a knockout in round 2, and then got the sub. So a bit of a roller coaster, but I'm really happy with that. I used to bet that stuff all the time. 1 takedown, sub. On Neds, obviously I didn't have it for a little bit, so I lost my edge. So yeah, I was really happy with that, just being aggressive. Last week I did Corey Sandhagen to win and to get taken down once by Figgy. That gave me almost plus money. So yeah, happy with that. Almost up to a unit. Then Natalia Silva, I had 3 units on her, reduced it to 2. I felt like, Grasso could have replicated the Jessica Andrade fight and made it really competitive. But, just fought like an idiot. Fought like her friend and training partner, Aldana. Just no skills. No skills whatsoever. One of the easiest 30-27s for Natalia Silva ever. And, $1,000 to win 490 there. We're looking good now. We're looking good. Zahabi, Aldo, I just live bet Zahabi after round 2. I thought it was 1-1 going into the third. A little bit fortunate there, but he should have finished in the round 3. I won like another $100 peanuts. Lost 140 on Shevchenko Fiora, just live betting back and forth, trying to hedge. Shit show of a fight. And then I bet Jack Madalena half a unit, and then I bet a little bit over half a unit to go over. That was kind of like Jack and then the over to hedge if Bilal wins a decision. And they both hit. So that put me on 1,300. So that was a big hit. And really happy with that. Almost 3 units, right? Almost halfway to making up the big loss at the start of the month. So, yeah, we got a long way to go. I'm still break even for the year. But, hey, the best feeling ever is right after a big loss, make it back right after that. So that's good. Could have been better, but that's good. I'm not going to complain. So that's where we're at. I forgot to go through these, but that's all the betting I did. The biggest regret is Radke. Kind of rushed it, and Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, happy with that. Happy with most bets. Alrighty, we'll do a bit of Oktagon and then we'll go straight to the UFC. Right? There's some Oktagon odds, but let's address the comments. We got Dogfather screaming. We got Lucky Team screaming. We got Dogfather screaming once again. Jack, yeah. Late Goat, yeah, they're all good guys. They're all good guys in my opinion. My humble opinion. All right, what do we got for Oktagon? Bit of a shit show. I'm going to use the one and only Bet365 for odds. Some of these fights are off as well. So first fight, and I don't know some of these guys. This is obviously pre-tape. Gokhan Aksu versus Ognian Dimic. Dimic I thought was good. He made his debut in the Oktagon, but upon further inspection, he's a bit of a bum. Aksu should be the favorite. Can he run through him? I'll double check, but people seem to agree. He's trending towards minus 200, but let's move on. Patrick, this is a heavyweight fight. I don't know the other guy, but it's a low-level shit show. Afeni Nafuka versus Georgie Steins. Right, Steins is the favorite. Right, he should take down and stay safe on top of Nafuka. He's a good wrestler. He's beaten a bunch of good dudes on this card and on other cards. Yeah, I mean, again, trending towards minus 200. It's a favorite of us. Macho Sonmez, that's off. Dulatov seems like a squash. Insane line. Shamrock versus Kadziev. I don't know Kadziev. I don't know these guys. Dennis Frimpong versus Topolage. This one's interesting. Right, Topolage is a round one guy. He's a decent favorite. Decent size favorite. $1.68. $1.68. And I bet him a few times against Wash guys, and he ran through him as an underdog, but now a favorite over Dennis Frimpong. Dennis Frimpong is a well put together fighter, so I reckon if he can survive, he can probably win this decision. So, I mean, I want to say dog or pass, but I'm going to do some tape. Obviously, I need to evaluate how high of a chance Topolage has to finish Dennis in the first round, and if he has any decision equity, you know. Zdenek Polivka versus Harun. I don't know Harun, but Polivka is $1.36 favorite. That can't be right. This guy must be a bum, despite being 5-1. What's his record like? Must be cans. Yeah, it's a bunch of cans. Yeah. I mean, that could be some hidden value there. Gabal, Jacoby, no interest, no strong reads. Malach, Endrit, Brayoshiri is another guy that's kind of like a run-through type of dude. Malach has a really salty record. He's been finished. Submitted a bunch. What are the odds on this one? Yeah, Endrit, decent size favorite, trending towards minus 200. Makes sense. It's probably the side. Vanderlei Jr. versus Jacob Donal. Jacob Donal is a boxer, not the best guy. Vanderlei Jr. $1.44. Wow, they really rate this guy highly. He's lost the last 3 fights. All right, I think this is a case of him being a really well-rounded regional guy, tough regional guy, but yeah, he only mostly loses to Russians and whatnot. Yeah, Jacob, not really a fan of Jacob. He's a bit jack of nothing, jack of all trades, not master of none. All right, let's move on. Alexander Popek, Pavel Langa. This is a scenes fight and a rematch. It's gonna be boring as shit. Let's be honest. They're rematched already. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Popek lost to Pavel Langa 2 years ago when Langa was just beating all these guys way better than him via split decision. Was it a 5-rounder? It was a 5-rounder, and this is a 3-rounder. So who knows? Popek, what is he, minus 200? Popek is a minus 200 favorite despite losing to him before. Right, I guess Langa's path, again, is a split decision. Popek is just never, ever separates. Never ever separates. He's been to UFC, Contender Series. He's fought around the block. But I think he's live. I think he's live to kill Langa. If he can do that, he will cover his distance. His price, I should say. But who knows? Alrighty. KJC 194. Jackie Daly. Correct. Jackie Daly indeed. Alright, lads. Lock in. I assume this is why we're all here. UFC Vegas 106. Now, not the best card from a betting perspective, honestly, because I was a little bit G'd up from profiting last card. I tackled some of these fights, and yeah, not rushing to tape the card in depth, honestly. So Luana Pinheiro, Tisha Pennington, I mean, huge favorite. I played 3 units on Tisha against a washed, retiring, post-pregnancy Carla Esparza, and she still made that close. Well, it was a clear 29-28, but she just kept falling over, getting held down. I honestly thought it was going to be another split for Carla, but yeah, I mean, it's a dog or pass. Say what you will about Luana Pinheiro. She's good. She's lost to Robertson, Angela Hill, and Amanda Ribas. None of them are aging badly. Jillian Robertson couldn't finish her. That's actually aging quite well now. And she's beat, Sam Hughes, but yeah. I mean, it's a clear dog or pass. Clear dog or pass. If you can be brave enough, Luana's probably going to gas at some point. She might even finish Tisha. Who knows? Tisha's 35. Alrighty. Hyung-Sung Park versus Carlos Hernandez. I wish Park has fought someone else in the UFC other than, what's his name, Shannon Ross. And it took him almost 3 rounds to get Shannon Ross out of there. It would be good to see. It would be good to see, extended, not just rear naked choking people ASAP, but minus 200 on Park. I'm not really rushing it. I think we can get better than that. But yeah, Hernandez is not the worst, but I'm not rushing to play Park minus 200, and Hernandez, yeah, he's good, but it's hard to trust. He's bottom of the UFC level, honestly. All right, let's move on. What do we have next? Denise Gomez, massive favorite over Elise Reed. I'll probably look for some unders there, to be honest. Or maybe Denise Gomez inside the distance pays better because Elise Reed has literally been finished every single time in the UFC, even by Sam Hughes, of all people. Even by Lupe Godinez, who can't finish anyone. So, yeah. Parlaying Gomez at this price, yeah, you would need help. If you do that, you need help. Alrighty. Conor Matthews, Yadia Delval. 2 guys I bet and faded. I had a massive bet, still pinned on my Twitter. Delgado versus Conor Matthews. I do wish I doubled down and played the under as well. The under 2.5 wasn't even minus 200. The under 1.5 was decent plus money. He ran through him. Conor Matthews is not UFC level. And Yadia Delval is UFC level. He's beat some good guys outside of UFC already. Mike Answell, that's the first time I've taped Fury and the first time I bet someone. Delval was a decent-sized underdog. And he beat Michael Aswell, who later on was a Contender Series and lost. So, good win. Pan Alamo was a good win. And then he beat the shit out of Antonio Montero in Contender Series. I really thought that he was unlucky to KO him there. He needs to have more KOs. But he always goes down for guillotines. So, he's a massive favorite. It makes sense. But he could also be knocked out. Conor Matthews can knock him out. He's an ape. He's extremely hittable. If anything, I'll play the under 2.5 here. Where the hell is it? Delval. It's plus money. Under 2.5 rounds is plus money. That's interesting. Plus 130. As I said, Delval should really have more finishes on his record, but he just can't get it done. Can't get it done. It's a bit unfortunate. Alrighty. Luana Santos versus Tanara Lisboa. I taped this fight a little bit because it was closely contested on the line. Tanara Lisboa, I bet her when she was a complete mystery, making her debut against Jessie J. A ton of CLV. I let it ride. Worked out. She's 34. She's done some bad stuff against Jessica Rose Clark. She did some bad stuff against Ravina Oliveira in her second fight, which I completely forgot about. I completely forgot about Ravina Oliveira as a fighter in general. And that was in 2023. And she hasn't fought in 2 years. She's 34. So to me, it makes sense that Luana Santos is a slight favorite. But it's just, how is this fight going to play out? Luana is 25. She's well-rounded. She's got judo. She's got jiu-jitsu. She's got some power on her hands too. She's just a bit stupid. All right, she just getting completely shut down by Casey O'Neill. It's a bit of a red flag to me. And she kind of gassed there as well. Obviously, she was flying over to Australia. These are some things you have to consider sometimes, the narratives and intangibles. But yeah, it makes sense that she's the favorite. But I don't know. Looking at her career, she doesn't really separate unless she gets bums. Tanara looks good. She looks good on tape, but she makes mistakes. But I don't really want to rely on her to make mistakes and for Luana to capitalize on. And I don't know. This is a low-level women's fight. So let's move on. Jared Gordon, Thiago Moises. This is interesting. Back and forth, settled at Pick'em. Probably the one fight that I will force to tape. Jared Gordon, I usually like to fade the guy. He's very fragile. Not much power, but he's grown on me. I feel bad. He got robbed against Paddy Pimblett, and he got robbed against Nazarite Hakras. I bet his live line against Nazarite, he was paying $6. It was 1-1 going to the third. I honestly thought he was winning the third, but I also do think he lost it in the end because he became a little bit too hittable. His chin held up, though. His chin held up. So, yeah, I've come around on him. He seems to be going through phases. Sometimes he looks like an animal, then he becomes washed, and now he's kind of streaking again. He's doing well, but hopefully, what are these last two fights? Fernandez withdrew and Ruziboyev. So his opponents have been withdrawing. So, yeah, Thiago Moises, I bet him last time against Trey Ogden. I watched so many hours of tape just to see what Trey Ogden looks on bottom. And when I finally concluded that he's awful, Thiago Moises refused to go for takedowns. He let his calf get bust. He got outstruck round 1. And round 2, he wasn't going for a takedown either until he hurt Trey's calf, and then he just fell on top of him. And I was like, man, if this guy doesn't go for a takedown round 3, he's on the no bet list. And he wouldn't take down Trey in round 3 again, even though he's losing on the feet and winning on the ground easily. And then Trey engages the grappling, almost backpacks him and falls off, and then Moises wins. So it's like, well, you're an idiot. This guy's a moron. So this feels like hardware versus, IQ and grit. Jared Gordon has a better cardio, better IQ, more grit. And Moises, he's a lot more durable. He hits quite hard. He's athletic. And he's only 30 years of age. It's like 6 years difference. So, yeah, I mean, it's pick'em. It makes sense. It feels like I will struggle to get a adequate lean. But I'm excited to tape it. That's the one that I'm kind of interested in to go first. Alrighty. Matthew Camilo, Gabe Green. I looked into a bit of Camilo because he's a new fighter, and then I remembered I taped this guy all throughout Fury. He's improving. He's 23. I forgot how young he was. He's got some power on him. He's got some jiu-jitsu. He can kind of slow down. He's got that one red flag loss on his record against Arik Macedo, which is he's a huge bum. And he was lighting him up, hurting him all over the place. And then he got guillotined, which again, red flag. He's been submitted before in 2019, but yeah, I mean, 22, he was literally 19 years of age. So we've got to cut this kid some slack. He's growing up in there. Dorian Ramos, Soho, and Nabatov, the guy that called out to Dana on a press conference. These are some good wins. Yeah, he's well put together. But Gabe Green, right, he's minus 200. Gabe Green is not that bad. I used to love betting on Gabe Green, right? I bet him against Phil Rowe. I bet him against, no, I actually bet Johan Linus against him because he was so hittable. I think I bet him against Ian Machado Gary. I just thought he was going to pressure Gary and crack him at some point. And props to Gary, he handled that well. Gary's elite at avoiding stuff, and you can be hit, but still. And then I bet Brian Battle against him because Brian Battle, getting knocked out by Brian Battle, I don't think that's a bad feat. Brian Battle is trending towards a ranking. He's dropping down to lightweight. He looks like a tank. He looked like a tank at welterweight. He was just a bit short. But, yeah, he's fought at lightweight before. Yeah, this fight, I don't know if I can play Camilo at minus 200. I'm not sure, but Gabe Green has been knocked out a bunch, round 1 by Turner and Abafo and, obviously Brian Battle. But some of these other fights with Rodriguez and Phil Rowe and Johan, it looks incredibly durable. So, interesting fight. It could be one of those fights where Green can come on late and break this kid because I don't think this kid's fought anyone like Gabe Green before. So, yeah. I'll just need to tape a bit of Green because I did tape Camilo. All right. I didn't really go over some totals, right? Santos Lasboa, of course. It's maybe the under here because Luana Santos has submitted a bunch of girls and Tanara has been submitted as well. What other unders? Gomez, I mentioned. Gabriel Green, Camilo. The under 2.5 rounds, pick him. That's not bad. Interesting. Under 2.5 rounds in Jared Gordon, that could be a play as well. I don't have any strong leans on these totals, I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest. Lucky Tim. Thiago no shooting against Ogden after being gifted top control in the second round was mind-blowing. Correct. The guy is dumb as rocks. He's dumb as rocks, and we're all better off just not betting on these fighters with their hard-earned money. But sometimes we get away with it because Trey Ogden is also dumb as rocks and he engages in the grappling himself. Julian Erosa, Malzekiel Costa. Great fight. At least there's a couple of high-level fights on this card. Hopefully it's going to be fun. I get why Costa is the favorite. He's just coming off beating C-Rod. A C-Rod that looked a bit better than he did against Erosa. It has to be said. But, Julian, if you can't kill Julian, it's a tough matchup. I love betting on Erosa. Always a big underdog. I bet his KO line against Darren Elkins, $3.60. Crazy. Obviously, recency bias. But yeah, then he also has bad losses to like Caceres and Padilla. So I do feel like Melky Costa can knock him out. He's knocked out some good guys. If you watch his regionals, the guy has power. He beat the shit out of Austin Lingo, couldn't knock him out. But yeah, the guy has power. But I don't know if I trust the minus 200 versus Julian, because Julian also has power. It's just, who's going to win this fight? That's the question, right? Who's going to win this fight? I guess it's dog or pass for me. I'm not really. I did play Costa minus 200 versus Lingo, but I feel like that's a completely different fight. Under 2.5 rounds is chalky, but not too chalky. $1.70. That could be the side. I think that big punch the Mel Costa landed on C-Rod. I don't think Julian Erosa is eating that. Alrighty. Nursultan Razabuyev, Dustin Stolfitz. Interesting fight again. I know my boy Dog has an unhealthy gay obsession with Dustin Stolfitz. So, I might have to support him by just saying some kind words about Stolfitz. But yeah, he's a guy that, I've always underrated the guy. I bet a boost against him, $1.40. It was a sizable bet. I think that went perfectly. Could have gone south if he didn't knock him out. And yeah, I pretty much never wanted to bet him since. I've never bet him since. Just can't do it. I played Bruno Ferreira round 1 KO against him. He's just stiff and hittable, but he has his strengths. He's at the same time he's durable. He keeps on coming. He's got I would say an elite ground game. So obviously the path is take down Nursultan Razabuyev. And to give him some random ass bum, Eric McConco last time. A lot of people were playing him, but he knocked him out in round 2. So I guess his path is to knock out Stolfitz here again. Could he get wrestled? Maybe. What's his best win? Cedricus Dumas, Bruno Ferreira. The guy can crack. So what's the under 1.5 here? What's the under 1.5? Razabuyev. Pick him. That has my attention. Right, Dustin's gone under a bunch. Win or lose. It took him a little bit to go over in the Soriano fight, but he still dropped him at the end of round 1. So yeah, that will be the side. I just have to see exactly how hard Razabuyev hits. Sadiq Youssef, Marion Santos. I taped a little bit of this one too, and because again, a high-level, interesting fight. And I wanted to smash Santos, but he's never fought a good striker. Honestly, the best striker that he's fought was Barbosa in LFA. He was a big size underdog because he was coming off a year layoff and losing to Dan Aguirre. Got absolutely mauled by Dan Aguirre, but the guy's 25, 24. So back then he was 21, and massive leaps in his skills against Rafael Barbosa. He won 30-27, lit him up to the calf. He was the shorter guy, shut him down completely. And then after that, it's just grappler after grappler. Edwin Cooper, Torres, Khan Offley, and Francis Marshall can be considered a grappler, but he dropped him. Francis Marshall does have heavy hands. So obviously Sadiq Youssef has heavy hands as well. They're both going to calf kick. I think Youssef is a lot more fragile, but I don't really know how fragile Marlon Santos is. All I saw was Francis Marshall drop him, and then there's not many strikers here. I may have to go deep into early career to evaluate his chin. Maybe someone in the chat can fill me in. But yeah, I have to tape Sadiq just to know how washed he is. I faded him bigly by Lopez because I thought he had a finish upside. So yeah, it's a bit of a volatile fight. You can probably also grapple Myron, but gun to my head, I'll play Myron just because youth, and just feel like Sadiq could die. It seems a bit washed. It seems injury ridden. So the under there is, I'm pretty sure, quite big. Yeah, plus 180. Plus 180, almost $3. And that's interesting because both guys can crack. And Myron Santos has a brutal one-punch KO in his debut against Khan Offley, he's not a chinny guy. But I guess, he can be very patient. Calf kick and run for 3 rounds. Paul Craig, Rodolfo Bellato. Absolute scenes fight. Bellato, Paul Craig, pardon me, I should say, coming back up to light heavyweight. He's probably nearing his retirement age. He doesn't want to cut weight to middleweight anymore. Man, Bellato's a decent-sized favorite. I don't trust him even against someone like Paul Craig. He doesn't have good defense. He doesn't have good IQ. Probably one of the stupidest guys out there. Jimmy Crute absolutely rinsed him in round 1 for the entire 5 minutes. And then, Bellato edged round 2 and 3 because Jimmy Crute is also an idiot with no defense and cardio. So that was an evenly matched fight between two spastics. And this feels the same. The under was a bit chalky, and then someone hit shitty limits, and then he went to pick him, and now it's back to chalky. So I don't really know how it finishes. Like, I feel like Rodolfo submits a lot of guys, and I don't think he's going to be able to run through Paul Craig on the ground. Same as Paul Craig. I don't think Paul Craig's going to be able to submit Rodolfo. So you're kind of relying on these guys knocking each other out. Rodolfo does have power, but then again, he couldn't really knock out Poteria. He couldn't really knock out Taha until late round 2. Poteria late round 2, which is an attritional ground and pound stoppage. Asacio dos Santos, 5 rounds of no finishing. Couldn't finish against Jimmy Crute. So, yeah, I feel like I'd rather just play the over. Rather just play the over in a really, really volatile fight. But I get this feeling like Paul Craig could do it. I got this feeling like Paul Craig could do it. Like your team, Sadiq got a retirement mentality too. Well, it kind of does feel like that. He barely fights. He's always injured. But fill me in some more on that, what exactly that mentality is. And Gilbert Burns, Michael Morales. I like this kid. Seems like the UFC is too. They're giving him a main event against Gilbert Burns on a 4-fight losing streak. Quite sad what they do to veterans in the UFC. Like, why? He's lost to Bilal, Jack Della, Sean Brady. Why must he get Michael Morales in the main event to get knocked out? Right. Yeah. My boy Jack, everyone's shitting on him because of what Burns did to him. But, yeah, I think, honestly, if Jack didn't break his arm in round 1, he probably would have knocked out Burns much easier, much sooner. Yeah, Burns has always been chinny. I think Morales is going to knock him out. I don't know what the price on knockout is, but I played some under 3.5 rounds. And, it's plus money, $2.40. What's it at now? Obviously, I say every week I'm not going to lock things in early in the week and then I do it again. Well, it's taken a bit of action now. It's plus 210. I reckon this total is going to shift to 2.5 rounds. I just felt like that's the only one that stuck out. I didn't want to force any. And that one stuck out. And I was like, I'll lock that in because that feels... Michael Morales, right? He hurts. He's 25 years of age. He hurts everyone. So even the really extremely durable guys, Max Griffin and Jake Matthews, he's hurt him too. Couldn't finish him. And then he ran through Magny. Took him a while to get Fugit out of there. Took him around to get Trevin Giles out of there. But he's got power. So he really should be able to get a wash Gilbert Burns out of there in under 3.5 rounds. Like, that's a lot. If it doesn't, so be it. It's probably Gilbert Burns grappling. But Trevin Giles took him down and was in an arm triangle choke position, right? What happens if Gilbert Burns ends up there? Could he hand Michael Morales his first loss? Anything's possible. Anything's possible. I remember him having some issues with Adam Fugit as well. So, yeah, I just poked that under. Whatever happens, happens. It's a washed guy versus a prospect at $1.20. I would rather max bet Corey Sandhagen a few weeks ago than Michael Morales. So we'll see what the KO is again. But other than that, that's it. That's what do we got? Pennington, Dogger Pass. Hernandez, I guess Dogger Pass. I'm not too confident to say anything. Denise Gomez inside the distance. Del Valle inside the distance, but maybe the under 2.5 instead. Luana Santos, Lisboa. I guess Lisboa will pass. Moises Gordon, I need to take. Camilo, I'm kind of leaning green. And the under. Costa Rosa, it's just a volatile fight. Ruzaboyev, Stolfoots, I'm leaning the under 1.5. Sadiq, I'm leaning Santos. I'm leaning Paul Craig, God forgive me. And I have some under in the Michael Morales. That's it. All right. I'll probably focus on Oktagon this week. Whatever's available on Bet Online. Hopefully it's some good lines, good odds. The prelims are not as good as last week. We had LFA and multiple PFLs. Now we've got Invicta and Brave, and who knows, maybe there's some secret spots, but that's about it. Peace out, like and subscribe. I'll see you end of the week.